on Amazon, in this report that Amazon might start listing the additional cost on specific items put in place by the tariffs, the president is clearly angry. White House President.
And there's new reporting on a phone call between the president and the founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos. Sources telling CNN that the president at one point wasn't happy earlier today about a report he saw regarding the online retail giant.
Breaking. Amazon is relocating its global headquarters to the United Arab Emirates, and the move has triggered a fierce reaction from former President Trump. Sources confirm the shift is a direct response to new U.S. tariffs that are reshaping global trade. Experts warn this is only the first major corporate exit, and the economic fallout could hit American consumers hard. Amazon is making a move no one expected, relocating its global headquarters to the United Arab Emirates. According to Bloomberg and Financial Times reports from May 2025, top Amazon executives confirmed this shift after months of internal debate. Why the UAE? It offers a 9% corporate tax, far lower than the U.S. rate of 21%. But this is not just about taxes. The UAE's free trade agreements with China, Europe, and India shield Amazon from U.S. tariff chaos. Internal Amazon sources revealed that leadership teams visited Dubai as early as March 2025 to prepare for this transition. Now, a quiet but massive relocation is underway. Offices, management roles, and even parts of Amazon's global supply chain command center are moving out of the U.S. One Amazon insider told Reuters, "The U.S. has become too risky. We need stability to survive." This is not a symbolic move. It is a clear signal to the world that U.S. trade policy is pushing even the biggest corporations offshore. The trigger for this stunning move, former President Trump's aggressive tariff war. In April 2025, Trump announced a massive 145% tariff on Chinese imports, one of the highest in U.S. history, as confirmed by the U.S. Trade Representative. Then in May 2025, the administration scrapped the $800 duty-free exemption for online purchases, a change that Wall Street Journal called a direct blow to e-commerce giants like Amazon. The impact was immediate. More than 60% of Amazon's third-party sellers rely on goods from China, according to Marketplace Pulse. Overnight, prices on basic items, from phone chargers to toys, skyrocketed. Suppliers scrambled. Warehouses faced soaring costs. And Amazon's finely tuned inventory system began to strain. Meanwhile, Trump continued to threaten a 50% tariff on European goods, adding more instability. In this environment, Amazon's leadership realized they could no longer rely on U.S. trade rules remaining stable. The move to the UAE is a direct response to this tariff storm, a way to protect the company's future. The tension between Trump and Amazon didn't stop at tariffs. In May 2025, a shocking report by CNN and Axios revealed that Trump personally called Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. The reason? Amazon had planned to add a line on product pages showing exactly how much of an item's price came from new tariffs. It was a bold move toward transparency, but it never saw the light of day. Sources say Trump was furious. In the phone call, he pressured Bezos to scrap the idea, warning that it would damage public confidence in U.S. trade policies. Days later, Amazon canceled the feature. No law forced this decision, just presidential pressure behind closed doors. This moment revealed a rare breach of corporate independence. For Amazon, the message was clear. Staying silent about tariffs was safer than speaking out. But behind the scenes, the company began preparing for a bigger move, one that would take it far beyond Trump's reach. Why choose the UAE? The reasons go far beyond low taxes. The UAE offers strong trade stability, a rare advantage in today's uncertain global economy. It holds free trade agreements with major partners like China, the EU, and India. More importantly, it's not exposed to U.S. tariffs or political swings. This makes it a perfect base for Amazon's global operations. Amazon is already reshaping its network. CEO Andy Jassy announced during the Q1 2025 earnings call that the company is increasing logistics investments in Latin America by 20%. New warehouses are rising fast in Brazil and Mexico, creating supply routes that bypass U.S. ports. At the same time, Amazon is shifting its supplier base to India and Vietnam, reducing reliance on China. This strategy isn't just about cutting costs. It's about building a supply chain that can survive tariff wars and political shocks. For Amazon, the UAE is the next step in becoming a truly global and independent powerhouse. Amazon is not alone. Across industries, companies are quickly rethinking their global strategies. In April 2025, Reuters reported that Apple is now producing 25% of its iPhones in India, a direct response to U.S.-China trade tensions and higher costs. Tesla, too, is moving fast. Bloomberg reported in June 2025 that Tesla is shifting critical parts of its supply chain to Vietnam and Malaysia to avoid tariff-related risks. The auto industry is also feeling the heat. Ford and GM have delayed major U.S. factory expansions due to tariff uncertainty, according to Automotive News. Ford executives warn that higher import costs are forcing car makers to raise prices or halt new production lines altogether. This domino effect shows a bigger trend. American tariffs aren't just affecting Chinese goods anymore. They are forcing corporations to redraw global supply chains. More U.S. companies are now exploring alternative production hubs across Southeast Asia and Latin America. Amazon's move is an early signal, a warning that other giants may soon follow. If this trend accelerates, the U.S. could face a wave of economic shifts that policymakers are simply not prepared for. The global trade landscape is changing rapidly, and the data proves it. A recent Penn Wharton budget model update from June 2025 warns that U.S. GDP could shrink by up to 6% long-term if current tariffs remain in place. That's a severe blow to economic growth and a risk that businesses can no longer ignore. The impact is already reaching American consumers. A June 2025 survey by the National Retail Federation found that 64% of U.S. shoppers are now delaying major purchases because of rising prices tied to tariffs. Electronics, home goods, and cars are all seeing sharp price jumps. Meanwhile, cross-border shopping is booming. The Toronto Star reports a 43% jump in Canadians shopping across U.S. borders to avoid higher domestic prices. And U.S. businesses are sounding the alarm. In June 2025, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce issued a clear warning. Tariffs are hurting both consumers and the retail economy. Supply chains are becoming more fragile, and businesses are struggling to maintain margins. The message is clear. Trade wars aren't just a political game anymore. They are rewriting the rules of global commerce, and companies like Amazon are leading the way into this uncertain new reality. What happens next? The risks for the U.S. economy are growing fast, and the warning signs are impossible to ignore. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce warns that if current tariff policies continue, American consumers will face even higher prices in the coming months. Key sectors, from retail to manufacturing, are already seeing the effects of disrupted trade and supply chain instability. Business leaders fear that more companies will follow Amazon's example, moving operations offshore to avoid trade barriers and political uncertainty. A June 2025 Penn Wharton study estimates that the U.S. could lose 1% to 2% of its industrial jobs if this trend continues. Manufacturing communities would be hit the hardest, especially in states that rely heavily on export-driven industries like Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. At the same time, multinational corporations are becoming more vocal. In recent CEO roundtables, several Fortune 500 leaders warned that protectionist policies are forcing U.S. companies to consider offshoring not as a choice, but as a necessity for survival. With giants like Amazon, Apple, and Tesla adjusting their global footprints, smaller companies may soon face the same hard choices. They risk losing competitiveness if they stay, but moving abroad carries its own costs and long-term implications. The message is clear. Tariffs designed to protect American jobs may ironically end up driving them away. And with global trade shifting faster than ever, the U.S. must urgently rethink its strategy, or risk falling dangerously behind in the race for global economic leadership. Amazon's move is a clear warning. Global trade is shifting fast. Subscribe for more breaking insights and tell us in the comments, can America afford to lose its corporate giants?